रागादिरोगान् सततानुशक्तानशेषकायः प्रसृतानशेषान् औत्सुक्यमोहारतिदान् जघान यो पूर्ववैद्याय नमोऽस्तु तस्मै. Namaste. Welcome back to the episode 2 of TVAM SASHAKTAM BHAVA. Welcome you, sir. Welcome back. Looking forward to the session, today's session. I think it would be very helpful to the students this time as well. Over to you, sir.
Namaste to all present here, and thanks to Dr. Anaga for reintroducing me back into the series. Welcome you all. I welcome you all to Dravyaguna Made Easy series episode 2. This has been brought to you by Ayu-Chintana under the series of TVAM SASHAKTAM BHAVA, an easy, effective, and exemplary method of studying. And especially here, I will be dealing with the subject Dravyaguna. So a short brief recap about what was done in the last class. I explained to you why is Dravyaguna, why is it important to study Dravyaguna, the importance of Rogamado Pariksheta, Tadanantara Bheshajam, and other things. Why has been Dravyaguna implemented into the curriculum? Why a student should meticulously learn each and every drug that constitutes the Ayurvedic fraternity of medicine, and so on and so forth. Why should you study? And also we looked at where to study, as in the 4 major books which are available and which are very common and very famous that generally the students take to read, apart from the Nigantus, that is. And there are other books also that we looked at. I hope you have all done the assignment of looking at the books that are available in your library, so that you can start off. We could start off with full-fledged. Okay. So right now we'll be starting with the next part, as in what is Dravyaguna and how is it even related to the modern, and if at all, if there is modern parlance, what is the modern parlance for it? Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll start with pharmacology. So pharmacology is one subject which we try to correlate very sparsely to Dravyaguna as such. So the word pharmacology itself is made of 2 words. The pharmakon, which means in Latin a drug or a substance that is used to treat, and ology, like biology, zoology, hence so on and so forth. Ology means to study. So the study or the science of drugs is called as pharmacology. So basically, on a very broader sense, on a very broader aspect, the entire pharmacology can be cut into 2 halves, two major chunks. It can be studied mainly under two headings. One is pharmacokinetics, which means what the body does to the drug. That means from the time a medicine X has been taken into the body and it shows its action inside the body and goes out of the body. So the body basically moves the drug from the mouth when you take and out of the body, from its in and out. So the movement of the drug inside the body is basically pharmacokinetics. And the second major branch of pharmacology that we have to study is pharmacodynamics. So pharmacodynamics is what the drug does to the body. That means to say, for example, paracetamol or your Dolo 650, which is taken during the course of your fever. The action of the drug is to reduce the temperature or to reduce the body pain. So it acts as an febrifuge or an analgesic respectively, right? So what the drug does to the body is pharmacodynamics. So how do you remember it? You might have studied in your 12th standard or in your second PU that kinetics or kinetic Honda for that matter. All these means movement. So the drug movement from the mouth and outside into the body and from inside the body to the outside is kinetics, pharmacokinetics. That means what the body, how the body ingests the drug and excretes the drug. Okay, so that is pharmacokinetics. While dynamics, so dynamite blasts, releases a lot of heat, destroys everything in and out. So pharmacodynamic means what the drug does to the body. Fine. So these are the two major branches. Apart from this, there is also something called as pharmacotherapeutics, pharmacovigilance, clinical pharmacology, and other parts. But at this level, we just need to concentrate more on pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. Okay, so coming back to the question, is there any balance between the Ayurvedic portion of Dravyaguna and the modern portion, modern science? So one thing we have to understand is why they study pharmacokinetics, why studying of pharmacokinetics becomes very essential for modern doctors is because these are all synthetically prepared drugs. So once they enter, they have to be meticulously scrutinized as to how they enter the system and will they ever leave the system. So the first thing that we actually study in medical science or allied medical, the mainstream or the what do you say, allopathy, is that how the body pushes the drug outside the system. So this is first important. Later on, only we study the action of that drug, even any potential candidate. So we as Ayurvedicians, we don't study much about pharmacokinetics because all the drugs that we use are either herbal preparations or the drugs, even the minerals, that is your Gairika and whatnot, your Parada, Gandhaka, everything is processed with herbal drugs. Either herbal drugs, we intake herbal drugs, or drugs processed with herbal drugs. Hence, it is very near to the body. Say, for example, you don't while you're walking, while you've gone for a walk, you don't call a stranger into the home, right? Directly. But imagine if the same stranger happens to be a very close friend of you whom you have not seen for a very long time. What do? You take him home, you treat him for a nice cup of chai or a garma garam samosa, right? So this is how Ayurvedic medicines are. They are very close to nature, and hence the body recognizes them as, oh, this is something very similar to me, or this is uh, very assimilable. That means it can very freely absorb or react. So hence, even though it takes a little bit more time to react because it's a huge molecule, we'll talk about that later. But even then, it's very natural for the body. So we are more concerned with the pharmacodynamic part rather than the pharmacokinetic part in Ayurveda. That fine? That much is clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, so coming to the dynamic part. So, is there any parallels of this pharmacodynamic part with the Ayurveda? What is actually told about this? How do you go about this pharmacodynamic part? So, here is a shloka from taken from Charaka Sutra, first chapter, which goes about like this. Aushadam hi anabhignatam namarupa gunaistribihi vignatam chapi duryuktam anartha yopapadyate. That means to say that there are two things that you have to remember. Whatever medicine that you give in your future practice, so you need to remember two things about the medicine. You have to be very cautious about two things when you give medicine. Every student has to be cautious about two things. First thing is that he should either, if he does not know anything about the medicine that he gives, or if he knows half and half baked knowledge. Jaise, to say, mostly many of the Ayurvedic fraternity people, they don't study the modern part, they don't study, neither do they study the Ayurvedic part whole and whole. So we are half baked. So that should not happen. So either of these two things will lead to anarthayopapadyate. That means to say anarthakari. That means it will lead to complications. So you need to have a complete knowledge of the drugs that you are going to prescribe to your patients. That is why he is telling three things here. First thing is he is cautioning you that you have to study Dravyaguna. And second thing, he is telling you that if you don't, then the patient will end up with complications. That means if a patient has complications, you should also look at pharmacovigilance. That means any drug that you give, it is not like Ayurveda does not have side effects. Ayurvedic medicines do have side effects, but we tend to overlook them. So they will have side effects. This is what Acharya is trying to tell you. And the third thing he is trying to tell here is also the method of studying a medicine. The third thing is the most final and important part. How is that structured? Acharya's tell there are three things that you will have to remember again, and that is Nama Vijnana, Rupa Vijnana, and Guna Vijnana. This we commonly call in our Dravyaguna sciences NRG triad. That means the very first thing that happens when you go to a kindergarten section, a child has gone to a kindergarten section, the teacher starts the normal drone, A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, right? So the student goes on repeating it again and again and again and again. It sits in the head. Okay. Post that, the second step is she shows A for apple. So she shows the apple. B for ball. She shows the ball, right? So the second step happens to be the Rupa Vijnana. That means you have to see the characteristic features or the morphological structures of the plant to remember it. You have to relate to it. Say, for example, Guduchi, Chakra Lakshanika. When you cut the stem of Guduchi, you see a circle. That means a cyclic ring there. So the Nama is Chakra Lakshanika and the Rupa is Chakra Lakshanika. So you relate it and learn so that you never get confused in your life. The third is the most important of it. Say, for example, the same teacher cuts the apple and gives one piece to the entire class. What happens is the student or the child eats the apple and then he will never forget the apple, right? So the same thing has to be done here. So you should know the guna of Gudu. Now you have learned Chakra Lakshanika is Guduchi. Now the guna is the most important, and that is what we are concerned with. So first thing here we learn is Nama Vijnana, the nomenclature part, Rupa Vijnana, the morphology part, and Guna Vijnana, the pharmacology part. Fine? So we'll be moving a little bit further. For this is okay for until if you are educated in Ayurveda up until your 12th standard, which will happen very soon. But
That happens.
here we'll be studying about a little bit more, one step ahead. Okay. So in Dravyaguna, we will be studying Dravya as a whole. Dravya as a whole in the sense we will club Nama Rupa, Nama Vijnana and Rupa Vijnana as Nama Rupa Vijnana, which is the Dravya Vijnana proper. Then we will be speaking about Guna Vijnana, which we term as pharmacological part. Then we will be studying about Karma Vijnana. That means to say, for learning the drug data, we should be knowing three things. The last three things that is very, very, very important for any student for your practice, not just for your Dravyaguna examination point of view, but for your clinical practice is for every drug you should know Dravya, the Dravya Vijnana, that is the identity and specific morphological characters of the drug, where they grow and what is the part used. It is not like गुडुची का मूल use करते हैं और बिल्लो का फल use करते हैं. It is not like that. You can't use the root of guduchi or you can't use the bark of bilwa or something like that, right? You should be very aware of what part is to be used there. You should be aware of all these three things. Second thing is you have to be aware of guna vijnana, which is the most important part here. This guna is not the guna that you see in Shat Padartha. This guna as a whole includes the rasa panchakas, rasa guna virya, not the rasa guna, not that guna, but this guna that we are talking about in Dravya Guna Vijnana is rasa guna virya vipaka prabhava. All the five make this guna, this Dravya guna. Okay?
That
So
means to say any qualities that can be assessed out of a dravya.
yeah, yeah. The qualities are divided into five, and that is rasa panchaka. Rasadi panchaka is termed here as guna. Okay.
Okay.
So all the qualities of the drug, that is the rasa panchaka, also with their effects on dosha, is called as guna here. So guna vijnana is important. And the third most important thing, as see, just by assessing a drug and putting it into the body or the system will not work out. What we are expecting, why we give the prayojana of giving a drug, is to see certain karma or an action, right? So this is the last step that we have to study, the vivid pharmacological actions both from Ayurvedic as well as modern point of view.
Okay.
Right? This the modern people term as, because the drug has phytochemical constituent, hence the action is being seen. But we will slightly deviate from the topic. So we'll come back to the original self and we will start. So you know about this example, right? So this example shows two things. One is a blown up balloon. I blow a balloon and hold the mouth of the balloon. If I hold the mouth of a balloon, the balloon does not deflate, right? But suppose I leave the mouth of the balloon, immediately the air rushes out and the balloon starts moving forward. Is that clear?
Yes.
So, this example, the blown up balloon, which leads to a filled up of potential energy. This is, I'm taking you back to your 12th PU physics, right? 12th PU physics, nahi, 6th standard physics, right? Because this is very common knowledge. We are not supposed to forget. Remember, just because you have come to Ayurveda, never forget the sciences that you already learned, right? So this is one thing that Acharya Sushruta focuses and keeps on pointing upon, that you're not supposed to forget and try to get allied sciences as much as possible, right? Dr. Anaga will let you know more about that. She will educate you more about that.
No, you are
But
utilizing the Padartha Vignana rightfully so here.
yeah,
So that is
exactly,
what today's students lack, I think. It is not that
exactly,
we use it more rightfully, but we always try to inculcate that Padartha Vignana in the rightful manner, not just limiting ourselves to Agni and Dhuma. It is incorporating
exactly.
every example to be there.
Exactly. This is a very important drishtanta from Dravyaguna point of view. So coming back to the example, so a balloon, blown up balloon, has a lot of potential energy, right? As compared to the opened balloon, which is a lot of kinetic energy. Because of kinetic energy, again, kinetic means movement, right? So kinetic energy has a lot of movement. And why is that kinetic energy? Because the release of air, right? So these we can correlate as potential energy as guna and kinetic energy as karma.
Hmm.
Why I'm telling you potential energy as guna is because what, so there is a statement our acharyas have made, telling that whatever guna is there in the body or the drug, only that guna can become vyakta. That is what is your Kshiradadi Nyaya, right? So
Yes.
whatever
Hello.